This is Don Brown, running for United States Senate in North Carolina against Senator Tom Tillis. Now, recently, as many of us know, Senator Tillis did another little backstab episode against President Trump when he single-handedly tubed the nomination of the president's pick for United States Attorney in D.C., and that will be Mr. Ed Martin. Now, by all accounts, Mr. Martin was headed for an absolute confirmation by the United States Senate on the floor, but Tillis killed that nomination in committee. Now, why is that? Let's watch just a couple of minutes of Mr. Martin's interview with Tucker Carlson to see if we can shed some light on the senator's real motives.
Look, I would have won on the floor, but the Judiciary Committee, Tom Tillis decided to block it in the Judiciary Committee.
Democrat from California?
Yeah, well, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, no, Republican from North Carolina.
Right.
So why would Tom Tillis, who was elected in maybe 2012, 14, something like that-ish, in a swing state even then, why would Tom Tillis be the instrument of your destruction?
I met with the guy for 90 minutes. When I met with him, 90 minutes, he railed on J6. He said, how could you represent J6 people? How stupid do people have to be to go into the Capitol and blah, blah, blah. And I said, sir, look, I've looked at this closely. It feels like you're not quite paying attention to what happened, right? And
that's correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And look, here's the thing. Tucker, this is what I mean by this is the fight we're in. This fight for the future of our country. Millions of Americans fall victim to the hoaxes, one after another.
Yes.
And if you fall victim to the J6 hoax, that it was an insurrection, armed, and this close to the end, then you might act like Tom Tillis, and you might rant and rave and say things like that, and that's what he did. But if you're not under the spell of the hoax, you say, wait a second, lots of people were waved into the Capitol, and maybe you could charge them with trespass, but you can't throw them in jail for 3 years, 4 years, 3.5 years. So we watched American citizens rotting in jail for years for walking through the Capitol in 1512. And that's why
Tillis is okay with that.
And Tillis is saying, oh my gosh, he said anyone who's dumb enough to go into the Capitol should be charged with everything under the sun. I said, well, if a cop opens the door and you walk in and you walk out, you're going to charge him? And anyway, so
what did he say when you asked him?
Well, he said, you know,
because that's almost what I was about to say.
After that, what happened on January 6th, as a prosecutor, I've got the pipe bomber case in my office. The FBI, Bongino said to the FBI, change all the agents, everybody look at it again. It's been going on for about 5 weeks. It's like Keystone Cops. They didn't interview some of the people that you would have said, that might be a suspect. They hadn't interviewed him. I mean, so the question becomes, what's happening here? Is it incompetence? It feels worse than incompetence, right? And so that information...
It does. What do you think?
Well, I think it's worse than incompetence, and I think, but I think the only way forward is to not describe what I think of the motives, but to expose over and over again what's happened. If you expose what's happened and the truth gets out, then accountability is possible.
Now think about that. Mr. Martin describes Tillis as becoming angry and raising his voice when he thinks about J6 patriots, insisting that they should go to prison. You see, Mr. Martin represented J6 patriots. I also represented J6 patriots. As a matter of fact, one of my clients was pardoned by President Donald Trump on day 3, and we're grateful for that. But you see, there's something that goes beyond just the senator's anger at J6 patriots, who had every right to question the results of what appears to have been a stolen election, and who had every right to raise their concerns and to petition the government for redress of grievances. You'll note that at J6, there were also a lot of strange things happening that are unaccounted for. For example, there was the claim of a so-called pipe bomb being at the DNC headquarters and a so-called pipe bomb being at Republican headquarters. Now, who put those pipe bombs there? We don't know. The left-wing media and the Democrats want you to think that Trump supporters did it. But you see, Mr. Martin was planning as United States Attorney to investigate who really put those pipe bombs there and get to the bottom of it. And then there's the issue of these gallows that appeared on J6. Now, again, the left-wing media, that is the propaganda arm of the Democrat deep state, wants you to believe that it was Trump supporters that put those gallows there, but we don't know. I was in court one day defending a J6er, and a judge was talking about the gallows that had been placed there as if that was done by Trump supporters. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we don't know exactly who put those there, but we know Martin wanted to find out. And Martin had made a commitment to getting the answers to those questions. Well, apparently Tillis is afraid of those answers. Why is this? Is he hiding something? Is there something that could be potentially embarrassing to the United States government that he doesn't want to know? The fact of the matter is that I believe, just like Mr. Martin believes, that J6 was primarily a Fed-surrection. In fact, the DOJ has already admitted that at least 15 FBI agents were not only inside the Capitol, but they had also entered and remained in a restricted place. In other words, they had violated the same law that sent so many Trump supporters to jail for weeks and even months. And yet there is no repercussion and no action taken against any of the FBI agents. The DOJ is being covered up. Mr. Martin wanted to expose the truth. What is Senator Tillis afraid of? Why are they afraid of the truth? Are they afraid that, in fact, the whole ruse that this whole thing was initiated by Trump supporters is going to be blown up on its face? Just like we saw, as Tucker has pointed out, Jacob Chansley, who was called the face of the insurrection, was given close to 4 years, and then videotapes showed that, in fact, U.S. Capitol Police invited them into the Capitol. Let me tell you this. If I go to the United States Senate, we are going to press for answers. The American people deserve to know the truth, and we're going to get to the truth. Please go to our website at brownfornc.com and support us in any way that you can. Most of our supporters might not be able to write $3,500 checks. We'll take whatever support we can get. We're going to take Senator Tillis out. We're going to get to the bottom of this J6 Fed-surrection, and we are going to let the world know exactly what happened. Thank you, and God bless.